Eastern time, we saw tropical, okay, here we go. So Hurricane Milton made landfall at 8:30 Florida time, 7:30 here at DFW, so North Texas Central Time. This made landfall as a Category 3 hurricane with winds of 120. Gusts have been up to 150, but it made landfall near Siesta Key. This is very close to Sarasota, Bradenton, and kind of Bradenton on the south side of Tampa Bay. So you can see here, there's the circulation right there. Center of circulation again, made landfall near Sarasota and Siesta Key. This is just beginning. So that just means the strongest winds are now onshore. In fact, I'll go back to that. The strongest winds are now moving onshore onto the west coast of Florida. Winds, 120 miles an hour. So again, this is a Category 3 hurricane. We have gusts of 150 miles per hour. The center of the eye is just 5 miles west of downtown Sarasota. So it will pass right through downtown Sarasota. And you can see it happening right now. In fact, so it's interesting to see, isn't it, that the winds in the eye they're a little bit calmer. Sarasota, 47 mile per hour wind gusts being reported. You go up to St. Pete, it's 81. The Venice anemometer has gone offline. 64 mile per hour winds right now in Tampa. So the winds will just keep increasing. So we'll see these 80, 90, 100 mile per hour winds with higher gusts as we go through the rest of this evening. Overnight, that'll move even more inland toward the Orlando area. And then by sunrise Thursday, the center of Milton will be on the east coast of Florida as it continues to make its track out into the Atlantic. But right now, wind gusts are increasing across that area. So there it is. Landfall has happened overnight tonight. Still a Category 1 hurricane just to the southwest of Orlando with winds of 90 miles an hour. Then it moves offshore. Again, the offshore expectation is around 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Then once it moves out, that's it. You know, it's not going to revisit parts of the southeast. It's not going to move up the coast. It's over. It just moves out into the central Atlantic, kind of dies out there. So again, we're kind of in the thick of it here right now across the west coast of Florida. The east coast of Florida has been dealing with numerous tornado warnings all the way down to near Boca Raton, all the way even up to Orlando. That whole area has seen just these outer bands have brought numerous tornadoes to those folks. The storm surge, still the biggest concern, and we're seeing this now. I did see a report out of Sarasota of storm surge in excess of 10 feet, and that's in the forecast. That continues to be in the forecast, 10 to 15 feet. That'll be the storm surge just to the south of Tampa Bay, down through Sarasota, and then kind of into the Bradenton area. Then farther south, Fort Myers, you're looking at 8 to 12, maybe on the lower end of that, 8, 9 feet in Fort Myers, which is still going to cause a lot of problems. If you remember, 2 years ago, Hurricane Ian, big destruction with the storm surge, major problems for Fort Myers. Then Helene, that just passed through not long ago, through the panhandle of Florida. That also brought destructive storm surge to the Fort Myers area and up and down the west central part here of the Florida coast. Now, Milton doing the same thing, and these numbers are very big. So you're going to see, again, 8 to 12 feet of storm surge in that general area. Flooding, another pretty obvious big concern. You'll see a very obvious standout band of some very heavy rain where we could be looking at totals. Just to give you an example, the Orlando area could be looking at 12 inches to 18 inches of rain before all is said and done. That is obviously going to cause destructive flash flooding in some of those areas. So it's not just the coast. The coast, the strongest winds, obviously the storm surge is a big problem. The flooding rain will continue well inland through the peninsula, and then as it goes offshore tomorrow morning, still some very heavy rain. There it is. Center of Milton right now, right through Sarasota. It is moving through. Hurricane Milton made landfall around 7:30 as a Category 3 hurricane, winds of 120. And if I just showed you that rain map, in fact, I'm going to go back. There it is. So I'm going to show you that rain map. You see how it's kind of this obvious stripe right through the north side of the eye, right? So you see the 12, 16, 8 to 12, up to 18 inches of rain, and then it's just dramatically lower in the southern part of Florida. Then we go back to radar. You can kind of see where the heaviest rain is, and there's kind of a lack of it on the south side of this. So there is a little bit of dry air kind of being pulled in, or drier air relatively, being pulled into the south side of this hurricane. There's the eye. right through Sarasota. Again, landfall near Siesta Key, that was around 7:30. The flooding rain from Tampa all the way up through Orlando. It's going to be a really rough night for Floridians as we go through Milton moving through. The damaging wind gust, again, those are expected to be somewhere between 100 and 120 miles an hour. There's the latest look at satellite and radar. Kind of a wide view, and I wanted to show you this wide view for a second. Notice, again, the absence of rain in south central Florida, but the big flooding rains through central Florida all the way up through the Panhandle, even Jacksonville seeing some heavy rain now. They could be seeing some big problems too. Not only with the flooding rain, but even Jacksonville could see some storm surge. Kind of weird to think about considering it's coming in from the west coast, but the easterly winds bring the big storm surge to areas like Fort Myers up through Sarasota. The westerly winds of the hurricane on the north side of it will actually bring storm surge to areas like Jacksonville on the east coast of Florida. A lot of problems, obviously, as we go through the rest of tonight. So there it is, again, landfall. Just, what time is it now? It's 7:51, so 21 minutes ago we had official landfall. Winds, very fascinating to see the lower number there in Sarasota, Bradenton. Up to 81 mile an hour winds now in St. Pete. Big wind gusts. Those big wind gusts will continue to move inland. Next few hours, we're looking at 80 to 100 plus mile per hour winds. The track remains the same as it goes through Florida. There's the Category 3 overnight tonight. Category 1. So once the hurricane moves inland, it starts to lose a lot of its steam. So it goes down to a Category 1. Winds of 90 miles per hour. Moves through Orlando, most likely as a hurricane, which will bring flooding rain and damaging winds to Orlando and Kissimmee and that whole area where all the resorts are. Then it moves offshore. It doesn't impact anybody else but Florida. That's it. Once it goes through Florida, it's back out to sea, and then it will die out there in the central Atlantic. There's the big storm surge numbers, 10 to 15 feet from Sarasota down to Fort Myers. Notice on the north side of the hurricane, so you had landfall near Sarasota, right? So if you go to the north side of the hurricane here, the storm surge is significantly less because you have winds coming east to west. Then you go to the south, you have the west to east winds, and that's why the storm surge from Tampa farther to the south is higher. So that's where you're seeing those bigger numbers. Very dangerous situation for Florida. And again, there could be up to 18 inches of rain in some spots of Florida. Flooding rain, a really big concern on top of all the other things happening. So we're already seeing the big winds, the big storm surge. Hurricane Milton, Category 3, made landfall tonight at 7:30 near Siesta Key. We will continue to keep you updated and have a loop of all of the forecast information for Hurricane Milton right here.